Randy Hayes is VP Public Sector, Vast Data Federal. Mr. Hayes, great to see you, sir.
Good to see you again.
So let's start there. Data. It's in the title of your organization. Setting that foundation for organizations so that they can begin to leverage the promise, the benefits of artificial intelligence is foundational. Talk about that foundation.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's actually funny, in the keynote, Dawn from the Department of Energy brought up vast. I think she said the word vast 3 times in her keynote in about 25 minutes. And then the panel that I was on was a lot about data. So it is fitting from a vast data perspective. But if you think about AI in the federal government, or really anywhere, it really starts with data and being able to process data regardless of where it comes from, and then also being able to push that data out to where it needs to be inferenced at. And that could be at the edge, it could be local. And so I think that's one of the really cool things that we've solved from a vast data perspective is this global namespace. Because everybody used to talk about data has gravity, but now that GPUs by weight are more expensive than gold, your GPUs have a lot more weight than your data actually has. And so being able to move that data to where it needs to get processed and then move it back to whether it's the warfighter or an analyst from the intelligence community or a researcher in somewhere like NIH or CDC or something like that. So having that ability to process that data when it comes in, whether it's unstructured data, and then providing context to all that unstructured data to make it queryable, and then building a vectorization of that data set so that you can integrate it directly with a large language model. And then most importantly, having a security mindset that spans that entire AI pipeline. And I think that's one of the things that is really resonating with the federal customers right now is if you have multiple different systems doing unstructured, structured, vectorization, and processing of this data, you can't have a single security model across that entire AI pipeline. And so we've really done that in a really strong way with the encryption that we have, with the ZTA capabilities and being able to check all the boxes on the ZTA side, as well as post-quantum encryption, because that's also becoming something that's really big from a federal government perspective.
If I could stay on that pipeline for a moment, where are agencies, in a general sense, lagging about having that throughout the entire pipeline? What are the gaps that they need to fill most, urgently?
So I think there's, in the federal government, you kind of have like 2 segments of organizations. You have builders. These are people that are building things like Department of Energy, NASA, NOAA, NIH. These places have been building at-scale systems, so they know the power envelope. They know how to build massive systems. And then you kind of have buyers of infrastructure, and these are folks that are buying from like AWS or Google or whatever it might be. And I think one of the common misconceptions is if you put all of your data up into the cloud, like there's a security model that spans that entire architecture. And so, and especially what we're seeing lately is there's a lot more hybrid, there's a lot more on-prem because there still is a tremendous amount of data on-prem and it's cost prohibitive to pump all that data up into the cloud. However, the cloud is extremely important when it comes to being able to spin up and spin down compute resources and be able to fail fast. And I think that's one of the interesting things that the government is starting to do a lot more of. And that's what like the commercial agencies have, or commercial customers have been doing a really long time is they fail fast. Oh no, that doesn't work. And the cloud allows you to do that in a really, really good time. So I think what we're seeing is a really big shift in doing prototyping and that sort of stuff in the cloud. And then when they start looking at actually building a full scale solution, a lot of that's on-prem or it's a combination of both.
Several years ago, when OpenAI and ChatGPT was released to the market, there was a bit of a wake-up moment, even in the public sector, about, oh, this is a revolutionary technology. It's going to reshape the landscape. I'm wondering if upstairs in that group at the AI for Government Summit, if there's something new people are talking about, a disruptor in the market, in that artificial intelligence vein. What are people talking about, Randy?
So I think there's a bunch of things. I mean, we could talk for hours on kind of the disruptive technologies because there's a lot of really good companies solving a lot of really hard problems. So I think looking at agentic workloads and also securing agents, right? Giving those agents guardrails so that you don't have one agent that is using another agent to change a security policy or something like that. And so I think one of the big things that we'll see is with these agentic workloads, there's going to be guardrails around a lot of what these agents are allowed to do. And so we've actually built that directly into our product, but there's also a lot of other security products that integrate directly into what our AI operating system supports. And so I think that's probably the big one. And then I think for the federal government, fiscal year 2027 is going to be kind of the age of inference, and especially inference at the edge. So Soft Week is going on this week down in Tampa, and so there's a lot of folks down there. And being able to support the warfighter at the speed of war, I think is going to be one of the bigger challenges that the industry is going to have to help solve. And there's a good chunk of folks that are really working hard on that project.